And of course by then we turned the oxygen back on, but their faces were just too funny. Too funny. We had to make it larger than life. No, hello you. Welcome to Big Damn Cast, a podcast all about nerdy news, geeky gossip, and the occasional bit of random chat that'll essentially occupy your time until we all roll into an early grave. I'm Chris, also known as that feeling you get that you're being watched.
And I am Matt, also known as the continued and deep ennui that you get from drinking diet sodas. And only diet sodas.
That's why I go for full fat. I like to remain blissfully unaware of my impending doom. Speaking of impending doom...
impending doom!
Infinity War dropped its last trailer.
And Dr. Doom's in it! No,
we wish. Bloody hell. Have you noticed I put Dr. Doom on my shelf?
No!
I found the old Doom. I've studied him up.
That's a good Doom.
It's beautiful. It's like Marvel Legends Series 3?
Oh, early Marvel Legends.
Yeah, boy.
Excellent.
He's beautiful. I've lost his pistol. But yeah, haven't we all? Infinity War dropped its trailer shortly after we recorded our last episode. So you've probably spent the last week watching it on repeat. Well done you. You sad bastard.
Well done.
But let's touch on it briefly before we touch on each other. I mean, the subject this
week.
The
subject matter this week. Avengers Infinity War
Yarb.
Looks like a rollicking good time of all your favourite characters having witty repartee and getting beaten up by big purple men.
Yeah, this really does this trailer hammers home the idea that this is not going to be a happy time for these characters. But at the same time, we're going to have a bunch of fun interactions. I remember I was saying to you before, when we met up before this recording, I said I remember Kevin Feige early on saying that seeing certain characters play off each other that you wouldn't normally should be something really fun based on like their narcissism and their egos, things like that. So it'd be fun to watch like quippy talksters like Spider-Man and Star-Lord and Iron Man in the same room. And yeah, I imagine that's probably a thought he had when they first decided we might try this. Because in this trailer we've got a little bit of Star-Lord and Iron Man having a chat.
Oh yeah, love
and
it.
it is wonderful.
A little bit of Spidey and Doctor Strange.
Yes, which is I'm Peter, Doctor Strange. Oh, we're using our made-up names. I'm Spider-Man.
Using our made-up names. It's so good.
Gamora leads the trailer, and we get that nice shot of what looks like very young Gamora walking with Thanos through a parting with a bunch of horrifically like bulky, covered in spiky armor guards either side, making way for them.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see some of his previous conquests. And they also introduced the idea behind what he's doing. He wants to kill half of all life.
Infinity Gauntlet style.
Yeah, he wants and they refer to it as balance. They mention that he's going to attack the world, wipe out half the world in an instant. So that's playing into the Thanos mythology a bit, because obviously Thanos is in love with death.
Why does he want?
So if half all things are dead, it's a balance. It's a gift. So he probably understands he can't kill everything, because if he kills everything, then there's nothing left to kill.
But if half of all things are dead,
yeah,
then they're not alive anymore.
Yeah.
So then do you have to kill half of what's left?
Well, I think the idea is that everything can eventually grow back and reach another point, and then he'll come back and wipe them all out again.
Balance!
Yeah, which
Makes
is nice.
No sense, but I like it.
But it's the sort of thing a Mad Titan would do in it. So we see him in his full armour as well for the first time in this film's marketing, live action and whatnot, which is nice. He looks pretty cool.
Live action!
So that puts to rest all the BuzzFeed bloody posts about, look at these toys, he's in full armour, we're going to see that in the film. Yeah, there it is. There it is, guys. There it is. Kind of looks like it did in Guardians. There it is. You've seen it now. Right,
yes,
moving on.
Looks like Thanos.
It's also interesting because you can kind of see a bit of where the story's going. I hate to do the over-speculation thing, but I can't help it with this one because it is sort of intriguing as to how they're going to marry these like 7 different film franchises together.
It's good for engagement.
Dirty buggers.
Is it 7 different franchises, or is it one large, engorged, throbbing franchise?
With a big varicose vein down the middle. Through which vibranium flows! Wakanda looks like it's taking a big spot in the action. Shuri gets a hero shot in the trailer. It's like, yay, Shuri!
Woo!
Yeah, all that stuff looks cool, but it looks like everyone's kind of been partnered off a bit. A chunk of the Avengers are going to end up in Wakanda, mostly the ones that were on the run,
Yep.
and Hulk somehow. Thor is going to... It looks like Thor's ship is ambushed in some way and whatnot, and that's what's going on with Loki and Thor being attacked by Thanos.
Well, that ties into the post-credits from Thor Ragnarok, doesn't it?
Yeah. Notice how Thor doesn't have his eye patch throughout all the trailer.
No.
Yeah. Which makes me think that there's some kind of recovery thing or restoration or something. But it looks like Thor, and based on the Hot Toys adverts that were coming out, it looks like most of Thor's arc is going to be spent with Thor, Rocket, and Groot. It's like they're going to be off doing something, which is an interesting team up.
Interesting trio.
And on the big space wheel doodad thing, it looks like the heroes who are taking part in that fight are Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Spider-Man, and at some point, Drax and Star-Lord are getting involved.
Yeah.
And Gamora, because Gamora and Iron Man are talking at the start of the trailer.
Or are they?
Yes.
Editing tricks, mate. Editing tricks.
Doctor Strange's acupuncture looks horrible.
That
looks horrible.
That looks like a reference to the Jonathan Hickman Avengers run in Infinity War. I think it's Corvus Glaive.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Corvus. Because, well, actually, no. The face of that character didn't look like Corvus Glaive.
Well, I'm not sure which one it is because I always get the fucking mixed up.
Corvus is the one who looks more like the other from the earlier Avengers films. You know, the Alexis Dezov's character.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were going to retroactively be like, oh, that was Corvus Glaive, but nope, he's in this.
Yeah.
Either
way, there's
Proxima Midnight. We saw her in the previous trailer.
Proxima Midnight.
We've not seen. He's got a different name in this, isn't he? He's the Black Dwarf or something, isn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah, referencing like a dwarf star, like he's a big powerful being, but he's got a different name in this. I think there's him. There's Corvus Glaive, and there's
Supergiant.
No, it's someone else. I'm gonna have a quick look because I think that shot. Either way, it looks like a Madokan.
The Moor
or a Glucken. Ebony Moore. That's it. Yeah, but that's going to be interesting to see. I just like the fact that I can see why they've been renamed the Children of Thanos, because they're based on the Gamora flashback. We're going to be seeing more about what happens when he just recruits and plucks people along the way and decides, "You're my child now, motherfucker.
Yeah,
I'm training you to be a murderer and torture you along the way." Can't wait. Can't bloody wait. Can't bloody wait.
Yes.
Speaking of can't wait.
Yes.
We got an email.
Yes.
Last week.
Yes.
That as you may or may not know, we're not really here right now. This is pre-recorded in the past.
Yeah, the next couple of weeks are going to be pre-records because Christopher's doing an Easter show. The bastard.
I'm a bastard in a way. If you can come to Lincoln, newtheatrehall.co.uk, newtheatrehalllincoln.co.uk. Come and see Alice in Wonderland. But before we go away, we had this email.
Yes.
That inquired about the world of Convoy X. And as you can probably tell from the thumbnail, and the fact that we opened with a bit of Infinity War chat, Marvel may be our topic this week. But first, the email that inspired it all.
Yes.
The fly crawling up the wall that inspired the Spider-Man that is this email.
This one comes in from our listener, so good they named him 5 times. Dan Rawlings. Just wondering if you have any tips on the exam stress, as I'm reaching that awful few weeks very soon. Yeah, don't stress. The most useless advice is also the only advice I have, which is don't
just focus on the stuff you know you're not as solid on. Research and revise everything equally, because if you just focus on the stuff you're not as good at, then when it comes to the exam time, you'll be putting all your effort into getting that right, and you'll completely forget stuff you knew before.
And also the exams are just so you can get to the next step of where you want to get. So like, once you get to, I don't know which exams you're doing, but if it's GCSEs, they're only important until you get into college. Yeah. After that, they're not important anymore. And the same goes for A-levels, and the same goes for... What you learn
along the way is the important thing. The only thing the grades really matter for is getting into courses that you want to get into. And even if you don't, you have options to retake and change and chop and change stuff along the way too. Like if you fail a certain thing, but you can still go on to do the course at a tertiary education or whatnot, then you can retake that stuff alongside if you want to bulk up. Ultimately, don't worry about it. You're in the first tiny portion of your life story.
Yeah. It's really...
Revise as best you can. Don't just focus on the stuff you're bad at, because then you won't remember the stuff you're good at. And good luck, man.
As long as it gets you where you want to go, That's all that's important.
Well, that's our podcast this week.
Yay!
Laters, guys.
I got told to take a break and find something else to do every now and then, so I'm on into
Yeah.
Secret Wars at the moment, which leads into my next question. What other story arcs do you recommend, preferably Marvel? Thank you for being one of the highlights of my week, even if it involves nearly pissing myself with laughter on the tram. Dan Rawlings. Another thing, actually, I was listening to your Amazing Spider-Man podcast from a while back, and Chris kept saying, Richard Parker, in a foreign-sounding accent, and it sounded familiar, but I can't put my finger on what it is exactly, so yeah, what is it? Chris, what is it?
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi.
The tiger in Life of Pi is called Richard Parker. And they came out around the same time, I think, didn't they?
I believe so.
Life of Pi and
the tiger allegedly died in a plane crash as well,
Spider-Man.
but don't worry, he grabbed his Sony Vaio laptop before he fell out.
Oh, yeah.
And his little paws.
So, yeah, that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from.
Meets. So, this email.
So, Marvel story arcs.
Yeah.
Secret Wars is very good. It's very, very good.
In case you can't tell, this week we're going to be nerding out on some Marvel stories. We may have talked about these before, but we're going to talk at length and ad hominem and here and there, so stick around. Secret Wars, I never finished it. I read the first 2 issues. Tell me, and the listeners at home who are listening and might fancy a storyline, what the Secret Wars is about, son!
Secret Wars is the culmination of Jonathan Hickman's brilliant, just absolutely sublime run on Avengers and New Avengers that started in 2012 and climaxed with Secret Wars in 2015.
Dirty that.
It was. Basically, what's happened is that through some multi-cosmic catastrophe, universes have started colliding with Earth as the point of contact. So the Illuminati, which is Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Namor, Black Bolt. It was Charles Xavier, although after his death in AVX, Beast takes his place. And briefly Captain America.
Yeah.
Who is excised by the rest of the group when it becomes clear that he doesn't... He has too much moral fortitude to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
They discover that these universes are colliding into each other, and if both the Earths crash into each other, then both the universes are destroyed. However, if one of the Earths is destroyed before the incursion can complete, then
everything will be
the other universe will be saved. However, there's not just one. The entire multiverse is collapsing in on itself in this manner, and as more and more universes are destroyed, the rate accelerates. And this is the sort of ongoing thread of his New Avengers title, and that ties into his Avengers title, and they all culminate in the final incursion, which is the Marvel 616 universe crashing into the Ultimate Marvel universe. And it ends with everything annihilated, except for 2 lifeboats, one of which contains a bunch of villains. I think it's like Terrax from an alternate universe, and Thanos, and some of his Black Order, and a bunch of real nasty customers. And the other lifeboat is Black Panther, Jane Foster Thor, Star-Lord, 616 Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Reed Richards. One of the people in the villain's lifeboat is Ultimate Reed Richards.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
The Maker, as he is at that point. All the Fantastic Four were on the life raft originally, but it ruptured during the final cataclysm, and the rest of the 4 were lost. Including the children.
Oh,
so Reed had to watch his entire family vanish into nothingness. Who else was on that? Cyclops, who's recently become the Phoenix, he was on there as well.
Oh, so older evil dick Cyclops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because there are 2 of them running around.
I can't remember who's on it.
Comics.
You'll know, Dan.
Are
You'll know. Oh, Captain Marvel's on there as well, I think.
Okay.
Is she? No.
I was going to say, like, with Thor, like, the too many men, we need some more girls in here.
Many men.
Many men.
So yeah, basically, what they find they find themselves. They come out of this lifeboat onto a new battle world, and basically what's happened is Doctor Doom also knew about the incursions, as did Doctor Strange, because he was on the Doctor Strange was part of the Illuminati as well. And what they basically did was get together, and at the last moment pulled together as many fragments of different universes as they could, saved whatever they could, and made it into one world with Doom as its God Emperor, because of course he is.
He's
Because
Doom.
he's Doom. And Secret Wars is the story of how the heroes from the Orphan Universe defeat Doom and recreate the multiverse. And it ends with spoilers down if you've not finished it yet. It ends with a freshly recreated multiverse, which led into the all new Marvel relaunch, with a bunch of characters getting fresh starts and new status quos. A couple of refugees coming in from other universes. So
Miles Morales from the Ultimate
Miles Morales from the Ultimate
just
Universe
in New York.
is now in the 616. Old Man Logan is now, after having his reality be one of the zones of Battle World, he becomes part of the main Marvel universe. So he's in a version of his past which is different from the version he remembers. So that's weird.
Because he doesn't remember having died in his past.
No,
That's
because Wolverine's dead in this universe, and Laura Kinney, X-23, she's taken over the Wolverine mantle. And there's also a 6-month time jump from the end of Secret Wars to where all the different books have picked up. So a bunch of stuff has happened that we don't know about. Like there's been an Avengers and Inhuman War, and older Cyclops is dead, and there's a
Parker Industries exists.
Parker Industries,
which was
thriving.
Genius.
All sorts of weird stuff. But yeah, Secret Wars is brilliant. And
is it mental and madcap?
it's just, it's Jonathan Hickman writing, and it's Asad Ribic penciling. So it just looks the business. It looks incredible, and it is nuts because the battle world is a patchwork world of different Marvel universes. So there's a chunk of the X-Men '92 universe, and the Manhattan chunk is the 616 Manhattan and the Ultimate Manhattan sort of mashed together. There's a bit from a universe where everyone is an Iron Man. Everyone has to wear an Iron Man suit because of reasons. There's a big wall around the equator because there's southern regions which are inhabited by the Marvel zombies and the Ultron swarm.
Holy
so they're
shit.
sort of fighting war in the Badlands, and if you rebel against Emperor Doom, you're sent to the wall to serve in the wall guard, I guess.
Game of Thrones meets zombies meets robots.
There's one single solitary star, and it's the sun orbiting the battle world, but it turns out the sun is actually Johnny Storm, imprisoned and forced to be a son.
Oh my god!
Also, Susan Richards is married to Doom.
That's screwed up.
Yeah, like he's recreated versions of the Fantastic Four as his own family. Apart from Johnny, who's the son, and Ben, who is the Wall.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's horrible.
The Battle World police force that runs under Doom is the Thors.
Yeah, I do remember.
They're all
actually.
Thors.
They're all just Thors. They're all
Thors from different dimensions.
Get down on all Thors.
There's an Old Man Logan universe. There's the Renew Your Vows universe where Spider-Man is still married to Mary Jane and has a daughter.
Which was a good mini and is now an ongoing.
Yeah.
I only read the mini. The mini was nice.
There's a Civil War universe. Basically, all the big Marvel events and big alternate universes have their own sort of sector on the battle world. Like there's a 1602 world and what do we call it? A secret invasion, World War Hulk world, which isn't like it's like everyone is Hulks apart from Captain America, and his Captain America's riding a dinosaur because of course he is.
Is it Devil Dinosaur?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I've not read all the tie-ins because basically all the Marvel titles finished, and then they did all the Secret Wars stuff, and then everything relaunched. So it was like a bit like what the X-Men stuff did with Age of Apocalypse in the 90s.
Yeah.
Where everything finished, then there was a bunch of 4-issue miniseries telling this event, and then it all got relaunched. But across the whole Marvel line. And it was really cool. and it was it was basically an excuse for everyone to go, okay, here's my ideas, here's my ideas, here's my ideas. Marvel saw it was popular and went, okay, we're going to do more of that. For stuff that didn't already have plans going on forward, because some stuff which already had roadmaps of where they wanted to go, so they just continued after Secret Wars as they would have normally. Apart from the little continuity tweaks that came from being post Secret Wars. But yeah, Secret Wars is a great story, but it definitely hinges on you having the more knowledge of the Marvel universe and continuity that you have, the more fun you'll have with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, before you read that, definitely read Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers runs, which I'm assuming you have done. They're great. And also, if you want to get a flavour for his writing and a good experience of a team that has been sadly shelved, it seems. Although there's rumblings of their returns in various Marvel titles. It seems like they're laying the groundwork for some sort of relaunch of them. But if you want to read some quality, iconic Fantastic Four stories, then go and check out Jonathan Hickman's run on Fantastic Four and later FF.
Yes.
Which contains... It's just a really awesome sort of encapsulation of the Fantastic Four as a family, and Reed's relationship with his family and how that informs his work and his science, and then towards the end of the first sort of section of that run, Johnny Storm is presumed dead, so they lose Johnny, then they become the FF and they expand and they become sort of a teaching
future
an
foundation.
an exploratory organisation. So they bring a bunch of like sort of super powered kids, and so like Alex Power joins the sort of the class, and there's also this Franklin and Valeria. There's super intelligent Moloids that Ben rescued, who worship Ben Grimm because he rescued him. There's Bentley, who is a clone of the Wizard, who's got villainous tendencies but wants to do good. He's like the Fantastic Four version of Damian Wayne. And also, it's...
characters like Spider-Man and stuff get brought in to teach.
Yeah, Spider-Man takes Johnny's place on the Fantastic Four, or they're no longer called the Four, they're called the FF. And then Johnny returned in the two titles run in tandem for the rest until it got relaunched as part of Marvel now in the wake of AVX. But yeah, Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four is a great sort of... it gives you a real flavour of what the team should be, and every time I think about it, it just makes me miss that book more. Because that book built the entire Marvel universe, essentially. It was Fantastic Four #1 that kicked off the Marvel superheroes as we know them. That'd
be where I'd go, because if we were to start trucking out, say, recommendations of stuff to see and try, for those who would be listening and whatnot, then I would actually, one of my first ones would be, and we touched on this before, but the 60s Fantastic Four. You need to put your head in that mindset a little of, it's a different time, but it's just batshit mental and silly and fun and adventurous and courageous.
Well, what Marvel...
Kirby's art is stunning, and Jack's sort of quips and weird little... Stan Lee's sort of little quips and everything alongside nuts. Jack's panels, just... beautiful.
Well, basically, what Marvel have done now is they've got these new collections called Epic Collections.
Yeah. And
it's really good for if you want to get into a character, because the idea is they're gonna collect an entire run of a series or character, but they're publishing them out of order because they're wanting to fill in the gaps that haven't been collected already, either in Marvel Masterworks or Marvel Essentials or like storyline trades.
So if you're like, I don't want to buy all that stuff again, it's like, you don't have to. We're going to cater to you first. Apart from a couple went through, didn't they, early on? There were sort of like, obvious ones, like first volumes and things like that.
Well, a lot of the ones that have like the Spider-Man ones, they've kind of plugged in a lot of those gaps because they've released like the 89 to 92 stuff.
Yeah.
Because each collection collects, like, they clock in at between 400 and 500 pages.
Jesus wept.
So, like, look at the Spider-Man ones. The first Spider-Man one is the first 2 years of Spider-Man. It's Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 17.
Jesus wept.
The second volume is 18 to 38 in Annual 2. Third volume is 39 to 52 and Annuals 3 and 4. Like, they're huge. And so I think the Fantastic Four ones, they've done the first 3 volumes, so you can get 1961 to 1966 at the Fantastic Four across 3 volumes. They ain't cheap. They're like £25, I think.
Yeah, but considering the amount of material and reproduced in full colour,
and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying Masterworks.
Yes,
which only do 10 issues at a time, and they're like £20 a pop.
Yeah, I've only ever had a few. I've got the first 3 Amazing Spider-Man ones, and I think I got 2 of them at least, like in charity shops, like cheap.
I think they've stopped doing the essentials now in favour of the Epic collections.
Yeah, I believe so.
Which were nice.
I've got a big old chunk of them. They're black and white, soft paper reprints.
Yeah, they were cheap, but they were massive, but they were in black and white.
Yeah. So if you want to appreciate the colouring and the lettering and everything in its original glory, then the Epic Collection's the way to do it.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, they're not particularly. They're high resolution, reprints, but I don't think they're recoloured and stuff. Like, I've got the reprint of Tales of Asgard that they did, where they collected all the Tales of Asgard backup strips from the early Thor books when it was still Journey into Mystery.
Yeah,
where it would have a Thor story and then like a 5-page Tales of Asgard backup strip. They collected that into a 6-issue mini around the time JMS Thor came out, and I've got the trade version of that because it's part of the Marvel graphic novel collection.
Yeah,
it's one of them, and that's all Jack Kirby's art, but it's been done with modern colours.
Okay,
it's been redone with modern colours, and it actually looks fucking gorgeous. In Volume 2 of the Spider-Man Epic collection, they've got the original pencils. Someone's found the original pencils for Steve Ditko's pencils for one of the issues in the collection.
Jesus.
And it looks the fucking business, mate. It looks without the poor quality colouring.
Yeah.
Like it looks like modern art.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you sometime. It's
there's
awesome.
There's definitely a voice that the guys in that era had with the way they drew that just translates so well. And again, when you see it in raw form, that's not to shit on the colorists and everything, but obviously tech has gone much further, so they can be coloured in ways that really service the art perfectly nowadays, whereas back then there was a bit more of a blocky kind of quality to it all in terms of the colouring, like a bit more straightforward. So yeah, but if you want to delve into that older Marvel, let's shout out a couple of like the old school Marvel that's worth looking at. I think Fantastic Four's a must.
Before we do that, apart from the Epic collections, I also want to call out Marvel Unlimited.
Oh, what have they done wrong?
The Marvel Unlimited is like, I think it's like $60, so it works out about £45 a year, and you basically just get unlimited access to all their back catalogue stuff, like
boom,
everything they've got uploaded. And they release new stuff every week, so they're always plugging gaps. It's limited to like the new stuff on it is 6 months behind. The newest stuff on it is 6 months behind print.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always
by the time it's out of print and the trade's already been out.
Yes,
it'll
that's when it'll
at
pop
the point
up.
where they can comfortably be like, hey, you don't have to pay any more right now.
But if you want to like bulk read a ton of Marvel and you don't want to buy trades, it's a really good way to
spend the money you would on 2 to 3 trades and have access to
and delve into
everything.
Personally, I prefer reading trades, and they're always on sale on Comixology, so I prefer trades.
Yeah.
But that's another option. But yes, old Marvel. Now,
old.
Bear in mind, going back to old Marvel can be a bit of a culture shock. And going all comics in general, just because of the way that comic storytelling has changed, the way that art has changed, the way that language has changed. They can seem overly simplistic, and they were books for kids, so you got to bear that in mind when you're reading. Like, I'm reading a bunch of old Thor at the moment, and it's noticeably less complex than modern stories, but that's just because that was the way it was. But there's still real fun to be had there, especially when you got Jack Kirby drawing it. So basically, anything drawn by Jack Kirby. Which, we're talking about
Fantastic Four,
the
Incredible
first,
Hulk.
I think him and Stan Lee did the first 102 issues of Fantastic Four.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
And the first 6 issues of Incredible Hulk, but it was still a minute. I'm not sure if he still drew it when it came back as a Tales to Astonish feature.
Jack drew X-Men, didn't he?
Jack drew X-Men for a little bit, at least
the original run,
at least for the first 10 issues, because I've just finished reading the first Masterwork.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else Jack did. Jack didn't do Iron Man, did he?
No, he didn't do Iron Man, actually. Not that I'm aware of.
How dare he? How dare he not do that thing?
And to be fair, if he out of the '60s Marvel stuff, you should go back to. Iron Man is not one of them.
No,
Because the stories aren't particularly interesting, and there's a lot of like stuff that has not aged well that you would look at now and go, that is
kind of like
fucking racist,
race related.
Like, because of course this was taking place in the early to mid '60s, so the communism Red Scare thing was still huge.
Yeah.
The Yellow Peril stuff of like, because this is before the Vietnam War, so it's when American relations with Vietnam and China were still real fucking tested.
Yeah.
And a lot, particularly in Iron Man, because it was very much about the military industrial complex.
Yeah, like it's and also like stories of international adventure and stuff like that.
Yeah. A lot of those villains were like ugly Russian scientist dudes and like horribly caricatured Chinese military leaders and stuff, and it's not aged well at all. So
the kind of stuff that you can almost get over quite easily when it comes to the '40s comics. Because you kind of look at Captain America and things like that and go, all right, Nazis, bad guys, cool, whatever. But like, it's like these comics were continuing that in a way.
Yeah, and
they're America's enemies, so they're going to be the bad guy. Quick, let's give the Chinese gentleman the big eyebrows and the goofy teeth and the Fu Manchu mustache, and let's write him in a way
that's
that
how
is
Mandarin
not
started.
particularly flattering. Yeah.
Mandarin started as a Fu Manchu ripoff, and it's not aged well at all.
And it doesn't by any stretch mean the people behind it are or were, horribly racist people. It was mindset of a country, and it's just unfortunate that if you go back, you deal with these things. But
and
at the same time,
that stuff bled through to a greater or lesser degree in all of Marvel's '60s output, but it's particularly egregious in Iron Man. Unless you're an enormous Iron Man fan and you want to read everything, in which case you're a mad person, then avoid '60s Iron Man.
When does Iron Man get really good?
Iron Man gets really good with Demon in a Bottle, which is like late '70s.
Yeah.
It's David Michelin and the fuck else now?
I don't know, but is David Michelin a man?
It is.
The David Michelin man.
Demon in a Bottle. I have to look it up.
Demon in a bottle.
Demon in a bottle. Which is, the iconic Iron Man storyline of his addiction and Bob Layton and David Michelin.
Yeah.
And also has some very early John Romita Jr. Iron as well.
Wow, of course, because he started back then, didn't he? Wow.
Yeah, it's Iron Man issues 120 to 128, 1979.
Iron Man as well, like, if you really love the Iron Man character, be prepared to not meet the version of the character you like for a while.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of defined around the time of the Ultimates, really, wasn't it? Like, in the 616, for most of the 2000s, he was a giant dick, and that was kind of it.
Yeah. I mean, Extremis by Warren Ellis and Andy Granov. It kind of lays some of the groundwork for what would become the MCU Iron Man. I
think Ultimate Iron Man definitely informed him as well.
Ultimate Iron Man has more of the sense of humour playboy aspect to it.
But he also has the drunk thing. Yeah. Although he is a fully functioning alcoholic.
Apparently so.
So he's what was that line in the first volume where he rocks up somewhere and because that's where Jarvis first shows up as a computer, isn't it?
Yeah.
He says like Jarvis, like prepare me a martini, and the soup starts making him a thing, and Jarvis goes, it's 11 o'clock, and he says, but it's 5 p.m. somewhere.
Yeah.
He just drinks. It's just like, this is upsetting, but also you're an eccentric character in a really ugly comic, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mean visually ugly. Brian Hitch does a damn good job with that comic, but...
Yeah, Brian Hitch and Mark Millar's Ultimates and Ultimates 2...
has aged badly in some ways.
It has aged
mostly
badly.
The celebrity angle.
But a lot of it is responsible for the character choices and design choices in the MCU, so it's certainly worth checking out the first... Two volumes, which comprise the Ultimates
which is the
Superhuman and National Security,
the Hulk volume, and then the Chitauri. Yeah.
Ultimates 2, which again is in 2 volumes. Less so. In that. Yeah. Well, that's how Ultimates 1 ends.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think they have to fight halfway through.
You have to fight and Superhuman, and then
that's what makes me feel small. It's just like,
it's gross. It's gross.
Why is this the thing you focused on, Mark Millar? Why is this the story you wanted to tell with these characters? He slapped her once. Why have you decided to turn that into their whole
it's
thing?
Mark Millar. This is why we can't have nice things.
But that being said, I do love a lot of his work. Marvel 1985 is amazing.
And that being said, Ultimate Marvel is definitely got some stuff worth checking out. If you don't know, Ultimate Marvel was an initiative that Marvel did around 2000, where they're like, oh, we want this separate universe where we're going to start from scratch, so you don't have to have loads of continuity to dive into it, and it's going to be a chance for us to update our characters from the ground up for a new audience, for a new
in
millennium.
ways that, of course, would naturally age very quickly as the series ran on, because they emphasise technology and celebrities too much.
Yes,
but for the time, hot damn,
so
it works.
it gets dated very.
But it dates in real time though, which is at least one benefit.
But the main thing that's worth checking out of that is the enormous back catalogue of Brian Michael Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man.
So it's pretty much that cubby hole in my unit is the run of Ultimate Spider-Man, minus the last couple of Miles Morales volumes.
Brian Michael Bendis,
I love it so
as
much.
we've mentioned on this, has been writing Ultimate Spider-Man in one form or another since... Well, he created it, and he's just left Marvel. Mm-hmm. So when the final issue of his Miles Morales Spider-Man...
He wrote Ultimate Spider-Man right up till its last issue, then it was renamed Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, and he wrote that up to the last issue of that, and then Spider-Man is killed off, and Brian Michael Bendis now writes Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man.
And he continued to write Miles Morales to the end of the Ultimate Universe with Secret Wars, and then after Secret Wars continued to write
Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Yeah.
Because after Secret Wars you had two Spider-Man titles. You had Amazing Spider-Man with Peter, and you had Spider-Man with Miles.
Yeah. So that's character consistency over the course of, 17 years.
There's a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man.
But you won't regret a minute.
So,
apart from maybe the body swap story.
Yeah.
But they even joke in the issues that this was like the intern's suggestion for a filler story, and they don't like it. But because of that, it's kind of funny, because you're like, okay, let's see what happens when you guys just shit out a story.
Yeah.
And it's two really fun issues. But it is like, yeah, you're right, this is the weakest
it's
story you've done.
But because it is so massive, and it is massive, there's kind of three...
Oh god, it's when he wakes up in Wolverine's body and he just sort of looks down, he's like, why am I so hairy? Like, he just can't come to terms with how hairy he is.
He's at that age, you know. He's getting hairy in strange places thinking about girls.
I think when Wolverine wakes up in Peter's body, one of the first things he does, he's like in bed or whatever, the first thing he just like look down at himself, he's like, the fuck? He's like, what is this? Because suddenly he's this tiny little hairless, like girly looking boy.
Hairless boy man. But yes, there's kind of three places to jump on with Ultimate Spider-Man. You can jump on right at the beginning.
Which I recommend. That's my recommended route.
Yeah.
Because you're in for one hell of a journey.
That's Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1.
And it's easy to collect because of that. Because
great power?
If you want to... With great power, yeah.
Yeah, with great power.
Because if you want to just read more, it's dead easy. You just look up which is the next book.
Yeah.
In your collection.
If you want to skip that and jump to the more more recent stuff and get to the death of Peter Parker quicker, which is a hell of a story, then you can jump on with Ultimate Comics Spider-Man,
which opens up with like the housemate kind of setup of Peter and Kitty Pryde and Johnny Storm and Bobby. What's Iceman's surname? Bobby Drake and Aunt May. And Mary Jane, and I think the Gwen clone all live under the same roof, and it's like, oh my god, this is basically Spider-Man and his amazing friends. This is so sweet.
Volume 1 of that run is called The World According to Peter Parker.
Yep, I was going to say I'll look down the shelf, but you got it.
Then after, and if you want to jump straight to Miles, then you just jump to Ultimate Comics, the second Ultimate Comics Spider-Man Volume 1, which doesn't have a subtitle.
Yeah, I think later on it becomes Ultimate Comics Miles Morales Spider-Man.
It just becomes
Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's great. That is such a good run because it's fresh as fuck. But like, I recommend starting with the first because.
And if you want something that's going to last you a while, because it's a huge run.
I mean, not counting the 616 stuff and Secret Wars and Ultimatum crossovers, things like that. It's like 14, 15 years worth of material.
Yeah.
Absolutely worth it.
Brian Michael Bendis has been writing Ultimate Spider-Man
the trades,
for nearly 20 years.
The single trades average on Amazon for about £6. So if you want to buy them as the single volumes and you want to do it as, say, like, if you decided to buy one a week, you know what I mean, for the price of like a coffee and a muffin, worth it. So worth it. You might be able to find the Ultimate collections, which like collect multiple issues together.
Yeah, like double-sized trades.
Yeah, I think triple for Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Each one I think is two to three trades worth. Like they split it up based on if there's a 2-part story or a 4-part story at the end of the trade. But they're a bit more expensive. But then again, if you find them on deal or like Book Depot, things like that, that's worth it for shelf space. But cost-wise, just go for like the £6 volumes. And also they look quite nice because they alternate between a red and blue. So the spines just run red, blue, red, blue, red, blue along your shelf, which looks quite nice.
Oh, all that stuff's on Marvel Unlimited as well.
Of course it is!
All of it.
Well, do you know what? Sod it. Guys and girls, spend your £45 or whatever and go and read all the Spider-Man. It's amazing. Should we chuck in a couple more sort of recommendation-y ones to take a peek at?
Yeah, honestly, I could go all day. I'm going to quick fire some.
Yeah.
For different characters. So popular characters from the MCU. Thor. If you want to read Thor, you can. If you want to read modern Thor, you want to go to J. Michael Straczynski's Thor.
Yeah.
Which is in 3 volumes.
Which is from 2009?
Yeah, 2007, 2008, I think.
Yeah.
Actually. 2007, I think it started.
Yeah.
But the Thor by J. Michael Straczynski. Or, you want to go even more recent, and the one that I'm currently reading and really enjoying, Thor, God of Thunder by Jason Aaron. Volume 1 is The God Butcher.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And that is the start of the run, which later leads into the female Thor, and is continuing onwards. Like Jason Aaron's still writing Thor now, and after in the new Marvel relaunch, he's continuing to write Thor, and that story's still ongoing. It all starts with God of Thunder.
I really recommend the JMS run simply because it leads then into Kieran Gillen taking over the book.
Yes,
and Kieran Gillen does some amazing work. I mean, Latvian Prometheus, which is like the sort of epilogue to the 3 JMS volumes, pretty much. And then there's one more, isn't there? After that, very briefly. What's it called? Siege Aftermath. So if you read Siege, you read Siege. If not, read Siege Aftermath. But then, what I recommend is at that point, jump off if you don't want to carry on with Thor
skip
right away,
the Matt Fraction Thor,
and move to Journey into Mystery by Kieran Gillen.
Journey into Mystery by Kieran Gillen is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. That starts with Fear itself, but you can get it as Journey into Mystery. Because it's really confusing for me. It's there as a Fear itself volume 1, but then the rest of the runs down there under Journey into Mystery.
But Kieran Gillen's Journey into Mystery is all about a young reborn Loki trying to change his future and sort of.
He has a second chance.
He doesn't want. Yeah, he's got a second chance, and he doesn't want to make all the same mistakes he did when he was a villain. And it's really, really awesome.
Because he's got a punch. It's the Raven, isn't it, that follows him around? Is it a Raven?
Yeah, Eichel.
Which is Loki spelled backwards.
Yes.
He sort of is whispering kind of things in his ear to try and convince him to go the other route. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. And that's worth it. And the Journey to Mystery stuff is really good. And is like, then Lady Sif and Beta Ray Bill take over that story, and they're quite good as well.
I would recommend the Jason Aaron run, if for no other reason, then the first 2 volumes are drawn by Asad Ribic, who drew Secret Wars, which you seem to be enjoying, Dan. And every page of that comic looks like a heavy metal album cover.
Yes,
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there's some good Thor recommendations. Iron Man we've sort of covered. Jump on with Extremists. You can also give the Matt Fraction Iron Man a go. That's also really good.
If you fancy a one-off story, do you know what I recommend wholeheartedly with a giant dollop of every possible bit of love imaginable? Marvels by Alex Ross.
Oh, Marvels is great. Marvels is it's painted by Alex Ross and it's written by Kurt Busiek.
I shall check. It's behind this Predator statue. Yes.
Yeah, and it's basically a retelling of the early years of Marvel from a reporter's view.
Yeah.
This photographer, Philip Sheldon, and like he witnesses the rise of the superheroes, and it's all from a ground level view of these amazing things that's happening, and it's got this gorgeous, realistic painted art by Alex Ross.
Every page is painted. And it's
same artist who drew Kingdom Come, which I did a big damn love on not long ago. It's a great DC book, which does similar kind of things. So yeah, definitely read Marvels.
If you want some madcap, sort of zany, semi-horror but very cartoony artwork stories, one that I really loved from when I was a teen and first started collecting my graphic novels is the Daniel Way 12-issue Venom story arc.
Okay, yeah.
It's fucking mental. Like, it begins, it's essentially, I think it's 18 issues actually. It's like 666, or it might, there we go.
Hey!
Or it might be 444 and 12, but it begins basically as a remake of John Carpenter's The Thing, but with a symbiote sample in an Arctic research lab.
Good.
It then stumbles back to New York, where the symbiote host is looking to to be reunited with the rest of it, because it's basically about a bit of Venom that was cut off and then studied and began to grow and go, hang on,
Nice.
I'm not meant to be here! And then it heads back toward New York to try and find the rest of its body. It stars, well, the main character, she runs throughout the whole thing and she's brilliant, but in terms of your guests, the Fantastic Four are big stars in it. Spider-Man obviously rocks up at some point, but it's I think it's Ramos.
Humberto Ramos.
Yeah, I believe so.
Great.
It's just this, but you've seen what he does with normal stuff. He has this very kinetic, cartoony style.
Yeah.
That just looks so good and solid. But imagine him doing that for an entire book where he gets to play with the symbiote and that design. It's gorgeous.
Yep.
That's a lot of fun. It's one big blockbustery, one single book, kind of stupid, but just it's a romp.
Yeah.
It's a violent, weird sci-fi romp, and that's worth looking at, I think. If you're looking for a one-off story.
For something a bit more down to earth and a bit grittier, then you also need to check out Brian Michael Bendis' Alias.
Yeah, boy!
Where the wonderful Jessica Jones was created and made her debut. It is not for the faint of heart, and definitely not for kids.
No, in fact, it's from the Max line, isn't it?
It was what created the Max line.
Is that what kicked it off?
The then publisher of Marvel created the Max line so Brian Michael Bendis could write Alias.
Yeah. Let's have a look. It's got the lovely big explicit content box on the front cover.
And boy, is it explicit. It is violent. It is dark. There's some nasty stuff in there. There's some sexy stuff in there. And yeah, it's Jessica Jones is a great character, and that's where she begins. Yeah. And she gets taken from strength to strength. But if you want to, that's still the definitive run for that character.
Yeah, it's available in 4 trades or 2 big collections. And also, I'd recommend reading The Pulse. Afterwards.
Pulse. She comes into
that's
the
a little harder to get hold of. But
I think it's out of print, but it's also it's not.
When I first ordered the first volume from a comic store for $17.99, thinking, oh, that's not bad for one that's tough to get hold of. Yeah. They just sent me the first issue. And I was like, oh, that's really annoying. I mean, also, that's not bad price for the first issue of an out of print series, but at the same time, god damn it. But yeah, I eventually tracked it down through Book Depot for about $10 each. There's 3 volumes of that. That's a lot of fun, but that's carrying on Jessica Jones, and it's where she's pretty much absorbed into the Marvel Universe proper.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of language and a bit sexy, dirty, scary content in there, but way toned down. But it's also worth it because it's where her relationship with Luke Cage develops.
Yeah.
And you get to interact with characters like Joe Robbie Robertson and J. Jonah Jameson and characters like that on a regular basis.
And she does have a current ongoing which is just coming to an end with Bendis leaving Marvel, which is also brilliant.
Yeah.
The first 2 trades of that are out, I think. Uncaged and The Secrets of Maria Hill, the first 2 volumes of that. That's
because really that's post Secret Wars, isn't it? And she knows that something's wrong.
She suspects something's wrong.
Yeah.
They go into it in the first arc. It's post Secret Wars, and it's the original Alias team. It's Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos on art.
So it looks again painted. It's just beautiful.
It looks like the sequel to Alias because it is. That's great. Other characters: Doctor Strange, The Oath, or they're not the current run, but the recent run by Jason Aaron and Chris Bacallo, which starts with The Way of the Weird.
Yes.
And it's The Last Days of Magic.
If you want to know a bit more about The Oath, check out the Big Damn Love that Matt did on The Oath on our YouTube channel.
It's a great standalone Doctor Strange story and gives you a real good feel for that character. X-Men. We could do a whole episode just on X-Men because I fucking love the X-Men.
Somebody who's a bit separate, can I recommend my jumping on point for them?
Astonishing.
Give Astonishing
Joss Whedon and John Cassaday's Astonishing X-Men is great.
Gifted's the first volume, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. If you want to get up to date on recent X-Men, then you want to jump on with X-Men Gold.
Oh, I want to read that.
Which is really good. X-Men Blue is about the time displaced original X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men Gold is the Kitty Pryde.
So X-Men Blue's the new X-Men.
It's the new X-Men.
Okay. I did wonder. I've been a bit separate from the Xbox for a while.
Who writes X-Men Gold?
Who writes X-Men Gold?
X-Men Gold.
Who writes X-Men Gold?
X-Men, we've got colour books now. So you've got X-Men Gold, which is the Kitty Pryde, Old Man Logan, Storm. Who else is on that team?
Basically, your main players.
Iceman.
The ones you really want to read out.
The classic X-Men. Yeah. And then X-Men Blue is the young teen X-Men from the past.
The classic X-Men.
Yes.
I hope you're writing all this down, children.
Oh, it's like Colossus. Oh, it's Mark Guggenheim. Right. It's really good. They've also got X-Men Red, which has just started, which is the Jean Grey-led X-Men team. But X-Men Gold is where you want to go if you want current X-Men. Also, Brian Michael Bendis' Uncanny X-Men and All New X-Men pick up from the end of Avengers vs. X-Men, and they are also pretty damn good. If you want to get some classic X-Men, then you can jump onto any Chris Claremont X-Men, so have a look for Uncanny X-Men Second Genesis, which is the book from 75, which introduces the sort of the all new, all different X-Men team, which is Wolverine and Colossus and Storm and Nightcrawler and Banshee. That's where all those guys come from.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of what is widely considered to be one of the greatest runs in the history of comics. Chris Claremont's run an X-Men from 75 through to 91.
Yeah, it's a long ass run.
There's some clunkers in there, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you can find the majority of that stuff in trades or Masterworks or on Marvel Unlimited. And they started doing epic collections of that as well. And it's really fucking good. So if you want to get some classic X-Men on, that's where you want to go.
Season 1 is a good series of books for people who say, if you're a fan of the MCU and you want to try out some comics,
with
but you
the
don't know where to
exception of the
start.
Spider-Man one. I don't like the Spider-Man one.
Oh, they're not all winners, but I think if you want a taste of that world and the worlds at play, these books do a pretty good job of it.
The Fantastic Four one's pretty good.
Fantastic Four's Ant-Man's a lot of fun.
I would definitely recommend the Ant-Man and X-Men.
X-Men's good. Daredevil's pretty sweet as well. I've got the full run. I've not read a couple. I've not read Wolverine and Thor, I think. But
I've not read all of them. Daredevil season 1's really good, and it's a really good introduction to that character. Doctor Strange season 1's really good.
Bad. It's like a condensed version of the first 5 or 6 issues of Avengers. Daredevil's pretty good. Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four. Hulk season 1's not bad.
Hulk season 1's pretty good.
I've not read Iron Man yet.
I think the best of them for my money is Doctor Strange season 1.
Yeah. Thor, Wolverine, and X-Men are the remaining ones after Spidey.
Yeah, they're basically modernised versions of those characters' origins, updated in a sort of ultimate fashion.
Yeah, except sort of drawing really heavily from the original run of issues for each one.
They're original graphic novels, which sort of loosely readapt and reimagine the first few issues of each character's series. My personal favourite is Doctor Strange. Oh, pardon me. Closely followed by X-Men. Mostly because of Jamie McKelvey's art.
Yes! Oh, yeah. No, there's a nice range of talent working on these. So more of them are misses than hits.
Yeah.
But they're a really nice jumping on point if you just want to get used to the medium. If you're not a big comic reader and you're like, I want to try it out, pick up season 1 books from Marvel.
Any more?
Daredevil, Guardian Devil.
Daredevil, Guardian Devil, or
Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada. That's a pretty fun one. It's a really nice introduction to the world of Daredevil and Doctor Strange and Black Widow.
Or the recent Mark Waid, I say recent, it was like 2007 or 8. The recent Mark Waid Daredevil run.
Wait, is that the first one with the covers like him doing that?
Yeah.
It's the circles. It's like 2012, 2013.
Oh, fucking
hell.
It's pre-Marvel now, I know that much.
Yeah. It was a relaunch of Daredevil after Shadowland.
Yeah.
But before Marvel now.
Yeah.
Avoid Shadowland.
Great. That's
Shadowland.
Great. Yeah, Shadowland is poor.
Gash.
It is poor. Any others spring into mind?
I think if you've got the MCU in mind as well, maybe pick up Infinity Gauntlet.
No, don't.
I'm not saying it's good.
It's not good.
I'm not saying it's good.
It's not good.
But if you want to dip your toe into the world of comic books, because you're a fan of the films...
It's not good though, Chris.
It might be a good bridge into trying
Infinity Gauntlet is not good. Don't read Infinity Gauntlet because it will put you off. If you want to read some good Thanos stuff...
Thanos Rising.
Thanos Rising is pretty good.
It's amazing.
It's a good origin for him. And also the Infinity event that's part of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run.
That's pretty good. Although get the collected version. Or if you're on the Marvel United app, read it in order.
It was a mini-series and also had tie-ins with Avengers and New Avengers. And
it reads so much better if you read it. Infinity, Avengers, New Avengers. Infinity, Avengers, New Avengers.
So
it reads so much better like that.
If you're going to read the single issues on Unlimited, then get a reading list. If you're going to read the trades, make sure you get the collected version with all the tie-ins.
Yeah.
Which I think is in 2 volumes.
Yeah, the UK version's in 2 big bulky chunks, which you could probably get for about $12.99 through Amazon and Book Depot on the cheaper stores now. I think that's a good place to leave it for Marvel recommendations.
I could honestly go on forever about Marvel comics you should read, but we'll find other venues for that in the future.
We will.
Um,
But what about the immediate future, Matt?
In the immediate future...
What about next week?
In the immediate future, as I say, these next couple of episodes are going to be pre-recorded, so we won't be able to get to your emails and tweets until Chris gets back from his show.
But do tweet,
But
because we'll
please,
tweet at you.
Please do continue to get in touch at Big Damn Contact on Twitter, at Big Damn Cast on Twitter, bigdamncontact@gmail.com on the emails. And next week we'll be expanding. Next week for you in about 10 minutes for us.
Yeah, we're going to have a brew first. We're not animals.
And we'll be expanding this discussion into what you should do with the world of DC Comics. And maybe some other stuff as well. Depends on what we come up with. Oh, yeah. So, we will see you, or you will hear us, I should say, next time. And that's... how for now.
I think about 3 people will understand that reference.
That was a kids' TV reference of yours, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, damn it! The credits are rolling. Freeze frame.
Tomorrow's world.
Freeze frame.